Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Newcastle podcast, and it is episode 148 of our first and certainly not our last season. My name is Michael Grahamslaw, and today I am joined by Kevin Esther and Iain Mackay. Iain, I'll start with you. How's it going, my friend?
It's going very well. I've had a lovely weekend. Thank you very much, Michael. I have watched everything on the television from afar. I couldn't go yesterday to see the Cup. I was watching John Cooper Clarke in Manchester instead. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But I've watched hours of people climbing up traffic lights and standing on large buildings waving flags today and enjoy it. Looked like it was fantastic. Has anyone done a final count yet? There must have been 200,000 or 300,000 there.
Yeah, 100%. To be honest, it's a good enough reason to miss it, in my opinion. One person that didn't miss it is Kev. Have you recovered from the parade yet, Kev?
Oh, what an unbelievable time to be a Newcastle fan this is, man. What an event. They literally put on Glastonbury in about 10 days' notice. It's an insane achievement from the club and the council and everybody involved. But yeah, absolutely loved it. It was amazing. And personally, Eddie Howe's banner off the Sandman Hotel.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe's number one fan. When I saw that, I was like, yep, we've done it right. I'm happy now, no matter what happens. And I don't think we can ever complain about anything again. We've won a cup and we're massive now. So yeah, I'm on cloud 9 still.
Yeah, absolutely massive. And to be honest, what scared me with that was seeing the two lads abseiling with the flares. I was sitting there going, oh, this whole trophy parade could go wrong with just one bit snapping, and it's just be typical Newcastle for something like that to happen. But thankfully, everything went off without a hitch, and it was 100% one of the greatest days I've ever had as a football fan. Truly excellent stuff. But as Eddie has said at the end of the parade, there's still 10 games left to play, and that starts on Wednesday. So unfortunately, the time for parades, fun and games is over, and it's time to get back to work. Well, most of us were back to work the Monday after the Cup final, but for those of you that have had a 2-week party, yeah, sorry about that, Kev.
Yep.
We're going to start fresh, and we're going to get into, after a nice international break, Newcastle United vs Brentford on Wednesday evening. The teams are currently tied at 1 win apiece against each other this season. But Kev, how are you feeling going at the game? Is there a newfound confidence around the lads?
Yeah, I think the whole cup win, and to be honest, it's the best international break to ever exist, the one which has just been, hasn't it? Because we had 2 weeks to stew on an unbelievable cup win. But yeah, I actually think this will be a huge help. Sometimes teams win cups mid-season and just fall away because we've got nothing else. But I don't think Eddie Howe will let that happen, and I think this will be a huge boost, a huge kick on. And I just think the scenes in the city at the weekend will be a massive help to all those players as well, knowing what it means 100%. To the club. I think we probably knew what it meant beforehand, but I mean, you watch any of them scenes, them players now have got to give 140% because previously they were only given 100. How dare they? So yeah, I think it's going to be a massive boost for us and a big kick on. I think we're full of confidence. But Brentford are a very good away side out of nowhere, aren't they? When we last played them, they were unbeatable at home and we couldn't buy a win away. And it's flipped. Now we're an unbelievable away team. So definitely there's a right to be cautious, I think, because we are in unbelievable away form. But I mean, come on the back of the scenes at the weekend, our last game being Liverpool, Dan Burns in England at National now. I think there's going to be a newfound belief, which is amazing when you think about it, a newfound belief in a team which already thought we could beat anybody beforehand. So yeah, I'm mega confident going into Wednesday night. And it's under the lights. It's always a better atmosphere under the lights.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And what about you, Iain? Are you confident in Newcastle picking up 3 points, or do you think that there might actually be a potential hangover after this 2-week party?
There's always a potential, isn't there, with Newcastle? However, I'm encouraged by every little interview I saw Eddie give during the celebrations yesterday. He would always finish by reminding everybody, and he did it from the big stage in the Town Moor as well, that we're back on it now. There's 10 more games to go. He's right. I have spent a bit of the last 2 weeks looking at who everybody else has got to play in their last 9 games. I think we've got a fantastic chance of finishing in the top 5. And I think it's got to start at home against Brentford. We've done it once, brushed them aside in the Carabao Cup. But I just think the high of bringing the cup home, of taking on Liverpool and beating them. I just think confidence they've got, and then the feeling that they've got, the overseas trips that they've had and worked together with. I just think we've got to be on it under the lights, haven't we?
Yeah,
There's
you
sheer
generally.
will get 3 points.
Yeah, you would hope so. And I think what we're probably going to see on Wednesday, I think it's probably a good indicator from what we'll see from Newcastle from the rest of the season. Kev, you mentioned just a little bit earlier, sometimes teams win the Carabao Cup mid-season and then they just completely fall off. It's like they've been in a party mode for 3 or 4 months and they don't care about the rest of the season. But Newcastle, as you said, we shouldn't really expect that. Not we really with the professionalism that Eddie Howe ensues in every little thing that he does. And I think if we play well, I think that's a great sign that we will do so for the next 10 games. But I think if Brentford are on top and we struggle, we might not capitalise on the cup win and that momentum as much as what some may have wanted. And if you look at the form table, we have lost 3 out of our last 5 home games in 2025. That will need to change midweek. Iain, you mentioned, Kev, I think you as well. The fans are going to play a huge part, and the atmosphere simply has to be above the average it's been this season because anything less could see a struggle. I think it will, just because of the cup win and the buoyancy behind the team right now. But what I actually want to ask is, it has been 3 weeks and a cup win since our last Premier League game. So is it a case of after everything that's happened, the form book kind of just goes out the window at this point? What do you think, Iain?
Well, I think we've had an opportunity to elevate our form with the break, with the extra confidence, with the bulk of the squad. I know we've had a few players away on international duty, but the bulk of the squad has been across in the Middle East doing their warm weather training and bonding
Yeah,
a little bit more. I just think that when they've done that before, they've always come back and hit the ground running.
yeah,
But there's a real prize to get. It's the real prize to get. They know they've won the League Cup, and they probably all want to play in the Champions League. The guys who want to play in the Champions League will want to play in the Champions League with Newcastle next season.
yeah,
Fantastic
100%.
motivation. Our games, this is a tough game at home against Brentford, but we have a little run of very winnable games throughout the rest of April. And the
Mm-hmm.
really tough matches, I think, come in the last 4 or 5 games. So if we
Yeah,
can win 4 out of these 5 games in April and be solidly in the top 4, I think that'll give us the momentum to be able to pick some really good wins up against the Chelsea and Arsenal and Brighton that we've got left to play in the last 4 games. So yeah, I think we've got to look at the 10 games coming up altogether. It was 11, of course. Don't forget, we had a really tough game away at West Ham that could easily
yeah.
have been a banana skin, which they ground out a very, very good 1-0 win in. And I think that attitude is what we'll come back with, and that'll get us there.
Yeah, I was going to
Absolutely.
come to that. I was going to come to our last Premier League game was actually an unbelievable kind of gritty 1-0 away performance with one eye on the final as well. So I was really, really happy with that performance. But the other thing I wanted to mention is I think Eddie's probably already had that chat with the players about going for top 4. And as good as the cup win is,
100%.
it's now in the past. Mainly because I didn't notice any. I might be wrong here. I didn't notice any alcohol on the bus at all. There was no champagne. There was no beers, there was no cans, there was nothing. The players didn't seem
Mm-hmm.
like drinking, so that seemed like something Eddie Howe probably put in place to say, look, season's nowhere near over, make the most of this night, it'll be amazing, but you're not getting drunk, you're not drinking, we've got a big game Wednesday night. So I loved that little detail, which I noticed. I didn't notice it at the time we were. I could have sworn Livermento looked half cut, and Bruno just seemed like
Sounded
he was
it.
having the best time of his life. But when I watched it back when I got home, I did notice normally when you watch a bus parade, we're pouring champagne on each other or necking it, and there was none of that. There was actually no alcohol at all.
Yeah.
So I'm
They're
assuming it's
high on
come
life,
from,
Kev. They're high on life.
yeah, I'm assuming it's come from Eddie Howe, and I'm assuming he's had that meeting about, look, it's now in the past. It's brilliant and well done. You deserve this night and this atmosphere and this moment. However, we're not drinking because in 3 days' time we have a massive game. So I think he's probably already had that conversation with them by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's a very astute observation, and to be honest, it's not something that I noticed. So brilliant that you bring it up. It's one of those where I think you look at Newcastle United now, and we are very different from the Newcastle United of the past. And we mentioned in the build-up to the Cup final, Newcastle don't tend to do very well in this stage. We'd won 2 games out of, God, I can't remember how many. And then we doubled that, and then we beat that just this season alone. And what we're seeing from Eddie Howe is something that we've not really seen from Newcastle United managers, particularly in my lifetime. And it's one of those where I genuinely think going into Wednesday, I don't think there's any way that we don't take that momentum into the Premier League game. And as you said, Iain, we've got a decent run of fixtures in April. And if you can take that sort of momentum into those games, I think Leicester is up next, away from home. And realistically, you could have top 4. I'm probably going to sound quite cocky, but you could have top 4 or top 5 even almost cemented by May. And that would put it down as arguably Newcastle's greatest season since the 50s. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we are going to go into our first advert of the podcast from Bionique.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
And what is right for me is Newcastle United winning a cup and being in a tremendous run of form. Now, we've got part 1. Part 2 comes soon, as Wednesday night sees the Magpies play their first game following the cup final. But in regards to team news, there isn't too much in regards to major issues for Newcastle United. Lewis Hall, Jamal Lascelles and Sven Botman all still injured. The only worry comes in the form of Anthony Gordon, who obviously did go off injured for England in the international break, but he's already suspended for this game, so it doesn't change a thing. Now, Kev, you noticed no alcohol on the bus. I also didn't see Gordon moving too gingerly at all. He seemed okay, but I might have missed something. I was very intoxicated, so there might have been a protective boot on for all that I knew. But I would say, as unless enforced, Kev, I can't see too many changes from the lineup that played the cup final. What do you think?
I think it's probably got to be the same team to start. Gordon seemed absolutely fine. He didn't seem like he was struggling at all. So I'm hoping it wasn't too bad. And he wasn't asked about it that much.
No.
When I've watched the BBC coverage, the ITV, the Sky Sports stuff, and obviously Ant and Deck did the NUFC TV coverage, I haven't seen him asked about it. So I'm assuming he's fine. Otherwise, it would be a big, like, are you okay? It was I'm not even injured type thing. So, I think it'll be the same team. I do think, just going back to what we said back in the part 1 about the fixtures, we've got some huge games. We've still got Villa, Brighton, Chelsea to play, who are all fighting with us for obviously them top 5 spaces. Brighton maybe less so than Villa and Newcastle by the time their fixtures come round, but Villa, Brighton and Chelsea still to play. And then we've got Arsenal after that, so I hope it's wrapped up by the 18th of May, because that's always a tough game. But it's going to be, I think, the most important thing, and you mentioned it at the end of part 1, is the next 2 games. I think winning at Brentford at home, winning at Leicester away, them 6 points could be huge based on how other teams do. FA Cup games in between that as well, with semi-finals coming up. So Villa have a semi-final to look forward to. That could be, hopefully, very distracting. Unfortunately, Brighton, the nicest team in the world, went out. Which I'll let Iain talk about more, because I know he's a big fan of Brighton. But it's going to be an interesting run-in. But I think with the team news, it's got to be unchanged, hasn't it?
I think so, 100%. And you mentioned there, Nottingham, the FA Cup, Nottingham Forest also in there, Manchester City in there. So, 3 out of our, let's say, well, it feels like 10 rivals for European positions at this point. But 3 of the biggest rivals we have, all 3 of them have got that FA Cup semi-final to look over their shoulder.
We're playing the other 2 of them with Chelsea and who's the other team? Brighton.
Yeah. And Chelsea aren't in a great run of form, but
Chelsea have the Conference League.
Conference League.
They're expected to win. Villa still playing in the Champions League as well. They've all got distractions. I think it's set up. I do. I agree. I mean, we'll start talking tonight about there being 10 cup finals left, and if we do manage a win, there'll be 9 cup finals after that, and we'll be talking about next game being the most important game because
100%.
we need to start building some momentum. This is a great time to duplicate our 9 straight wins run that we had over Christmas. Fantastic time to do that again, lads. And to be fair, the games aren't any more difficult than those games were.
No,
because we had Arsenal, we had Man U, we had Tottenham away during that run. So it's all possible. It's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah, 100%. It's exciting times ahead. And Iain, do you agree with Kev that you think we'll probably be unchanged from the cup final?
I don't. I don't see why we'd change it. I thought Barnes did really well in the final. Actually, he was kind of the humming and hawing. Is it Barnes or do we put Big Joe on the on the wing and Willock in midfield, or vice versa? I mean, they played that in the later stages of the cup final, and that went quite well as well. But I think Barnes, he deserves a run, doesn't he? He's been waiting to get a little bit of a run at the start with Gordon being out. It's got to be him.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think there's any issue now over who starts in goal. I think Pope is a legend, isn't he? Cup-winning goalkeeper. And whereas Lewis Hall would have been a huge miss had Tino not looked so good at left back, and Kieran Trippier rolling back the years to rediscover his best form for us.
Player of the season, Kieran Trippier.
Not just in the cup final, but away at West Ham as well. So let's have a few more games like that from him.
100%.
It's once we're through this Brentford game, Gordon comes back. I don't know how far away Lascelles is, but I know they're expecting Botman to be ready before the end of the season as well. So we could end up strengthening a little bit more as the games get a bit tougher, which is all good.
Yeah. To be honest, I wanted to speak a little bit as well about Harvey Barnes. Obviously, we mentioned him there, but he's fighting for his NUFC future right now, realistically. But that week of the cup final, I thought he was excellent. West Ham, I thought he was one of our best players, certainly our most creative. It wasn't a great game for anybody, really, except the defenders. So from a creative perspective, Harvey Barnes looked fantastic. And I was unsure of going into Liverpool. I was thinking, oh, you know what? He's gonna disappear. He's done it a couple of times. It's a big game. It'll happen. But he was fantastic. And we said not all that long ago that Harvey Barnes would probably be the first name that we would sell if we had to for PSR reasons. Do you think I know this is a bit of a negative, unfortunately, but are we still thinking that way, or do we think that Barnes has more to offer to Newcastle now? What do you think, Kev?
I must be Harvey Barnes' biggest critic. I think he was okay against West Ham. He got the assist, obviously, but it did come back off a rebounded field cross or shot. And the final, I thought he was okay. I thought he was a solid 6-7, but he didn't really get us off my seat. Like I don't know if I've just got unfair expectations of him. And I'm not going to come on here and criticise any of the players after the cup win, but I feel like if he scores, he has a good game, and if he doesn't score, he's average. He's 6-7 out of 10, which is okay. It's solid. But yeah, I feel like he needs to get a little bit more to his game and goals. He's a great finisher. I honestly think behind maybe Isak and a fully fit Wilson, he's probably our next best finisher one-on-one. If you've got to pick for somebody to be in one-on-one, I'd have Isak, fully fit Wilson, then Barnes third. So he's definitely got a lot of ability. But for me as a winger, I feel like you've got to have a little bit of something to go past somebody, or just even if you just got one trick which gets you a yard when you're that good at shooting and that gets his whipped shot in. I don't know. I really want him to succeed. I do. I want him to score against Brentford. I want him to keep his place and score against Leicester. And I kind of want him to keep Gordon out the team because that would be so healthy for these last 10 games. I want him to do well. I'm willing him to do well. I just think so far I've been a tad. Actually, I'll be honest. I've been quite disappointed by his move so far. When he has got up some momentum, he's then got injured again, which isn't his fault. But yeah, I just want him to have a little bit more to his game than just being a great finisher. Whether he's got that or not remains to be seen. And I hope I'm on a pod when we're reviewing the season and I'm saying, wow, what a final 10 weeks Harvey Barnes had. He can go past people. He can whip the ball in. He can score goals still. He's versatile. Hopefully he gets put on the right. I hope I'm saying that at the end of the season. But right now, I would only be saying he's a very good finisher. But the rest leaves a lot to be desired for me.
Yeah. What do you think, Iain? Do you think Barnes is still probably one of the names for PSR, or do you think maybe he's got a little bit more to give?
I don't think it's. I don't think he's on a list anywhere just yet. I think he's got to do a lot. I think he's got to do a lot to shift himself from that because he would produce a lot of cash in comparison to the other players that we think are replaceable within the squad. And he
100%.
is in a position where we have some really good cover. Anthony Gordon is first choice on left wing, and we've got Joe Willock who can play there as well. Then he is replaceable. He's not somebody who we're going to leave a hole in the team for. It's not like selling Murphy and then scratching your head over who you're going to get to play down the right wing. So, but I don't think that we've got that issue. I don't think it's a PSR issue. This might be a summer where we've already bit the bullet and we've got some cash to spend. There'll be I'm sure, a natural desire for players who aren't playing to want to move on to get first team football. There'll be some whose contracts finish that we don't renew. I don't know if we're going to have to sell anyone to make any space in the team to improve the squad. And so maybe Harvey Barnes will get another season next year to try and cement a position somewhere in the Newcastle team. He could play down the middle, He's fast, he's skillful.
I've said on it before he could play as a striker, but
you're right. At West Ham in the first half, it was him who had the 2 shots on target, and I think he did the assist, did he not, for the goal as well? So
he did.
However unflashy he was in that game, he was bloody effective in comparison to the rest of our forward players. So I think he's got a long way to go to knock Anthony Gordon off his perch, hasn't he? But Anthony Gordon
100%.
needs somebody snapping at his heels to keep him at that high level, I think. So he's doing it. I think Harvey Barnes is doing okay.
I think unless Barnes wants to leave, his future's probably safe because I think it's 3 years since Isaac Bruno was signed. So if it's rolling 3 years for the whole FFP, it's not fair anymore, and it's now changed its name to pretty much admit that it's not fair. If it's rolling 3 years, then Bruno's transfer fees come off the books, so has Isaac's. So you're starting to look at, well, is that money free again? Can we start going to spend big? So I think that'll help Barnes in the future. I think if it only been 2 years since we signed them players, then they might be thinking, right, let's try and get 30 million for him, 35 million, something like that. And that'll help us. But I think with it being 3 years and them 2 big signings, big money signings, I mean, 63 million for Isaac's coming off the books. And I think it was 30, what was it for Bruno? 36, 35 million or something?
35, I think,
coming off the books again. So, I mean, that's almost 100 million coming off that rolling 3-year period. So I think that'll save Barnes over anything. But he seems like the type of player where if he's not playing, he's going to want to leave anyway. So I think this is his opportunity now to get himself in the team, to rival Gordon, or make himself useful on the right, to try and displace Murphy.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And one thing I wanted to end with, part 2 with, should I say? We go into this game with Champions League qualification in our hands. 10 games left, 2 behind Chelsea, 1 behind Man City, game in hand on both. But if the current rate of points continues, Newcastle will need 63 points to guarantee top 4, 62 to get top 5 with coefficient, etc. But that is 5 wins and a draw from the final 10 games. Now, I want to put you both on the spot. Are we on track for Barcelona, or will we have to settle for Lazio or Roma? Do we get Champions League? What do you think, Iain?
We've had this pod, and I haven't changed my mind.
That's why I've started with you and gone to Kev after.
we went through, Joanne, Nicola, and myself went through the last 11 games as it was. I had said 65 points would get us Champions League, so we needed 7 wins from the 11 games. And we all had Newcastle winning 8 of those 11 games. But we were all a bit scared. We were all a bit scared of the West Ham match, which of course went very well for us. So I'm just slightly more confident than I was when we did that little review. That of course, we weren't factoring in the extra confidence winning a cup gives you. So yeah, I'm really confident on it. Got Arsenal to play, Kev. I know they're a good team, but we'll beat them 3 times this year.
Mm-hmm.
When we play Chelsea, we're playing Chelsea at home. But just remember, battering Chelsea the last few times they've come to St James's Park. So yeah, I'm confident, Michael. Hopefully not overconfident.
We'll see. We will see. Now, Kev, what do you think? Are Newcastle going to qualify for the Champions League or not?
I think we're going to get 18 more points this season.
Okay.
Which I think is not a bad return. I think people would expect a little bit more, but I think you've got to be realistic, and this Premier League is so unpredictable. I think 18 points. I think, what did you say for top 5?
To be fair,
62.
that finishes with top 4.
Yeah, perfect. So, top 4 then for me. But yeah, I think 18 points would be a good return. I just think there will be some banana skins in there. After all, let's face it, as much as I'm on a massive high, we are Newcastle United, so there will be a game we lose and there's a massive overreaction. But also
1-0.
probably. But there's also a lot of games where we will blow teams away, maybe Man United, Chelsea, teams like that. So I think it's unpredictable. I think we've just got to enjoy it. I think we will finish in the top 5. I'm pretty confident of that without trying to sound like the typical arrogant Newcastle fan. I feel like we will finish in the top 5. I think we will be okay, but we will lose some games we're probably expecting to win. 18 points for me.
Yeah,
we're going to lose at Villa. We're going to lose at what do we have? We're going to lose at Villa. We were going to lose at Arsenal, and there was another one. And Brighton. They're the 3 we're going to lose. We win the rest.
We're not losing a game.
Couple of draws in there.
That's 7 more wins. Yeah. No, there's nobody to draw with. Come on.
Palace are a good team. Palace are in great form at the minute.
I know. Yeah, Palace is a banana. Palace is a banana skin. I know. Brentford is a banana skin.
Brentford's a banana skin. Palace banana skin.
We're cup winners, Kev. We're cup winners, Kev. We'll be playing those teams
as well without taking.
We'll be playing those teams at home under the lights. Come on, got to fancy ourselves.
I definitely fancy us. I've got my sensible hat on for the first time in 2 weeks.
No, you've got to get back to when you were telling us at quarter-final stage, we're going to win this Carabao Cup. It's written in the stars.
And I'm telling you now, we're going to qualify for Champions League as well. I'm telling you, but we will lose games on the way to that.
Oh yeah, well, undoubtedly.
100%. And in regards to our competition, obviously I mentioned 62, 63 points. When Man City are involved at the end of the season, you expect them to win every game at that point. But a big thing for not on the Nottingham Forest side is that Chris Wood's picked up an injury for New Zealand, and Nuno Espirito Santo has called that a worst case scenario injury. So their spot maybe isn't as guaranteed as what you maybe would have thought. Obviously, Taiwo Awoniyi is more than capable of filling in the role. Yeah, obviously also missed a penalty when we beat them in the Carabao Cup. So thanks, Taiwo.
Join the 2 days time you want, son.
Exactly. You can help them qualify anytime, as long as it's not at our expense. But we'll get back to the game on Wednesday, give our thoughts and predictions after our next advert, which is from Zencastr.
And we're going old school, Michael. We're going old school.
Take me back.
Do you have a story to tell that the world needs to hear? Have you struggled with reaching the audiences who are engaged with your story? It might be time for you to start a podcast. Let me tell you about a platform we use here at Global Sports Podcast Network. Zencastr makes it easy to start a high-quality podcast built for growth from day one. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes ums, ahs, nos, and 22 other speech patterns, Zencastr makes it super easy to start a podcast that sounds great. Ready to tell your story? Check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Oh, I've missed that advert.
That advert's like St James's Park, innit? Ever since we went to the new one, it just hasn't... I thought of all the great memories. The Christmas special with you two acting it out. With Tony the Tiger there, great. There's just so many good memories from that advert. even when we were practicing well before we went live, that is the St James's Park of adverts, and that's another reason why we shouldn't leave the stadium, because the new one just isn't quite fit.
It might be a very good
point. The new one's not as long. It doesn't have everything in it, I don't think. But there,
great advert. That great.
It doesn't hurt to go back and look at the old stuff, does it?
Exactly.
Michael still plays his first and second Oasis albums, don't you?
On repeat. It's my Spotify. In fact, no, I would say Spotify. That's a bit too modern. But speaking of St James's Park, Brentford go there on Wednesday, and they come on the back of 3 away wins. As we mentioned in part 1, they are in great form, and they were impressive wins as well, beating a rejuvenated Crystal Palace, demolishing Leicester City, and then beating Bournemouth. And we all know what happened when Bournemouth came to St James's Park earlier in the season. And for me, they have one of the most exciting attacking lineups in the league this season. So, Iain, I'll start off with you. Where do you think the front three of Bryan Mbeumo, Yoane Wissa, and Kevin Schade ranks in the Premier League right now? Not exact number, obviously, but it's got to be high, hasn't it?
It's got to be high, yes. One thing I will say, why they would be so high is they are consistently available this season, aren't they? Nobody's
100%.
lost very many games at all. And Mbeumo and Wissa, they're almost nailed on for one of them to score and the other to assist during every game they play. I'll put them in the top 5 of front threes.
Yeah,
just because there's 3 really good guys. The one that I don't know loads about because he's fairly new is Schade, but the bits I have seen him, he's really fast. He's really fast. Kevin Schade,
great name.
Yeah. So but they did nothing when they played St James's Park at the Carabao Cup because we just had the ball. They didn't get any service. We choked it off them, and that spirit of the Carabao Cup final will do the same thing again on Wednesday, I'm sure.
Yeah, I remember. I don't think Mbeumo started the game. Wissa might have.
No,
but I remember in added time, seeing them through on goal with Mbeumo knocking it across to Wissa. Hopefully, we don't see that again. But Kev, Mbeumo, Wissa, Big Kev, they could cause most teams in the league problems. No.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're probably top 5. I think in terms of front threes, we're going into massive detail. I think Liverpool, City, Newcastle, Bournemouth, and maybe the best 4 front threes in the league when everyone's fully fit. And I can't believe Jacob Murphy is part of one of the best front threes. But output wise, in terms of assists and goals this season, you kind of have to include him. Brentford and Mbeumo and Wissa, isn't it? I mean, I do like Schade. He looks promising, but he's very hit and miss. And Mbeumo his numbers for the last 2 seasons have been amazing. And I'm more impressed by Wissa. I think Mbeumo's got that reputation now where everyone's kind of after him and looking at him and they expect stuff from him, great left foot and all that stuff. But with Wissa, he kind of goes under the radar, but every time I watch him, he's just so intelligent. His movement, he's good with his back towards goal, but he's a very good finisher as well. He's more than capable when he's one-on-one. So for me, I think Wissa is the one we need to be very careful of. Obviously, Mbeumo's the more obvious one. I think when the players see that Mbeumo gets the ball, it'll be a natural double up. Let's help out everybody. Wissa can kind of go under the radar, and that can be very dangerous for us. So I'm hoping, I'm not hoping. I know Eddie will have a plan. And he would have already looked at this probably for the last 2 weeks, which again gives me great confidence going into this and a lot of time to prepare. So I think there'll be something there. What it is, I wouldn't even like to guess with Eddie at the minute, the way he's done a number on Slot in the cup final. He did a number on Arteta in the semi-final. So I'm thinking he's definitely got a plan to sort him out. And let's face it, our defence looked fantastic against Liverpool in the last game. I know it's different because it's a cup 100%. Final, but Shaw looked like the Shaw of old. We had a couple of ropey games leading up to the final. And Dan Burn, I mean, that guy, where's he come from? Because when he first signed, none of us thought that was going to happen. He comes from Blythe, and you might never ever beat him. But I don't think anybody expected him to turn into this player. And again, it's credit to Burn for putting in the work, and it's a massive credit to Howe's coaching staff and Eddie himself for getting the legs around him. Like obviously, I know he's injured now, but Hall and Tino, I think they've played a big part in Burn's success recently as well. So very good front three, but I don't know if we're going to get the ball much.
Yeah.
I think
I'd agree.
our midfield wins the game, doesn't it? I think our midfield kills their midfield and almost stops them getting a lot of service. So at least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. We'll have to shut up shop with Mikael Damsgaard, 10 assists. I'm pretty sure all of them have been to those 3 players. I'm not going to lie.
Sort him out.
Yeah. They've got a very good team. And, that attacking front 3, all 3 of them scored in the reverse fixture when Brentford put 4 past to it. But many forget that was the game that turned around Newcastle's season.
Mm-hmm.
We were 1 point above Manchester United at that point. And, well, just look at us now.
I said it was a wake-up call.
Yeah. I want to move to our predictions, and Kev, I will start with you. Iain, I'll go to you second, and then I'll round things off as we sail into the sunset and enjoy the last 10 games of a historic season. So, Kev, give us your thoughts and your predictions for Newcastle United versus Brentford on Wednesday evening.
Brentford are in great away form, but it's Wednesday night under the lights. It's St James's Park, first time after winning a cup, so I'm going to go 2-1 win to Newcastle. Good game. I think it'll be a good attacking, close game, but I think we'll come out on the right side of it.
Absolutely fantastic. And Iain, what do you think? What's your prediction for Newcastle versus Brentford?
Why, Michael? Why do you think I would ever change 3-1 as a prediction from a home game? Look, we've played Brentford once at home this season already. We beat them 3-1.
We did.
I agree with Kev. That forward line is pretty tasty. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet against them. But I think we'll create a lot of chances.
Yeah.
Barnes likes playing against Brentford. It's a match that he started when we lost 4-2. If you remember,
make sure we start against
we
Leicester
gave
as well.
two stupid goals away in that first half at Brentford. We should have been 2 up, and then we went to pieces in the second half. So yeah, I'm expecting Barnes to do something good. So let's say Barnes will get a goal. Isak scores every time, doesn't he? And Dan Burn from a corner.
Surely
do you think?
not.
Another
In
one.
celebration. Well, that's me. 3-1, Michael.
Yeah, no surprises there. But we love consistency.
It keeps coming in. It should have been. That should have been the score in the cup final.
Should have.
They kept getting through in the last 10 minutes and then taking it to the bloody corner flag instead of having a shot. Idiots.
Oh.
How dare they secure a win in the final?
Great stuff. And to be honest, I do agree that it's going to be a high-scoring game. We've seen, was it 10 goals, 4-2 and 3-1 in the 2 games between the sides this season. So I'll go for another 5 on average. I'll go with a 3-2 win for Newcastle. I don't think we'll be at our best. I think we'll be a little sluggish early on. Brentford will take the lead. We'll come back in typical Newcastle fashion and hold on for the win. Similar to the Forest game. But at the end of the day, life's pretty peachy as a Newcastle fan right now, and at this stage of the season, all that matters is the 3 points. So it can be a 1-0 where I fall asleep in level 7, or it can be an absolutely beautiful game.
Somebody just marked Nathan Collins. I think he's a great player, and I would love him at Newcastle next season. But after that goal he scored against us at their place, Jesus, somebody just mark Nathan Collins, please.
Absolutely. And speaking of the reverse fixture, if anyone said to you after that game Newcastle would win the Carabao Cup, we'd be one of the favourites to get the Champions League spot.
I was very positive.
You were positive about the Cup, but Champions League, maybe not. But I don't think anyone would have believed you if you combined the two. And what a roller coaster of a season we've had. And the ride has just begun. Now, that's all we have time for, unfortunately. And we will see you next time.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.